Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Looks like YouTube's gone. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Traders Arena. This is Kevin here, and it's Tuesday afternoon. Just back for another chat about crypto charts. See if there's anything interesting. Yeah, it looks like I got audio. If I don't, maybe somebody in the chat could let me know. Hey, Paul. But it looks like everything's going and streaming away. On Sunday, we I guess we broadcasted as unlisted by accident on Sunday. So if you weren't in our Discord room, you probably didn't get notified about that show. So sorry about that, but it is up on YouTube now if you want to go back and watch it. But either way, every Sunday at 16 UTC, Paul and I will be talking crypto on YouTube, so you can find us. But typically that show should have been to the public, but what can we say? We're not the best YouTubers. So yeah, anyhow. But that, like I said, every Sunday that show will be right at that same time at 16 UTC, and then I guess it's I don't know, 20 UTC right now, and on Tuesdays I'll be doing this show, which is just more of like a deeper look at crypto. You know, on Sundays we go through our plan that we've called the Road to Financial Freedom, that we're just using as a demonstration to just show people how to like work a pretty simple investment plan in altcoins. Sort of weekly chart zoomed out kind of thing. Just trying to buy here at the bottom of the range and look to sell into the crypto bull whenever it comes back. So yeah, we're focused more on kind of like the higher market cap coins for that. The plan's pretty simple. You know, we're basically taking 1% bets on 100 or so names, split in two. So we're taking two bids on 2.5% bids. And of course, if we get any free positions along the way, we'll just throw that additional capital either back into that same name or go find something else. Sure enough, we've banged out several doubles on that plan this year. And I think the first quarter of the year, at least, was pretty fruitful for crypto. Now, not so much. Did get a double on UMFI last week, which was the first altcoin double I'd gotten in a little while, I think. Also realized I missed a couple doubles just by a hair on NMR. And then, funny enough, AGLD, a coin I've been talking about a lot over the last few months, I guess it ripped up to double territory, I guess, Sunday night. And technically I could have sold on a double, but my average cost was lower. So, I'm averaging in my buybacks. So I missed a couple doubles by a little close hair, which happens. What can you do? I'll just keep waiting and probably get those down the road, but maybe we can look at those names later. I think to start, I'll just kind of do a little broad overview. I have a bunch of names that people have asked me to look at. I have just a list of stuff that I'm looking at. And, unfortunately, I think the story right now is we're just sort of on, I think any like expectations for bullishness in altcoins, well, any sort of like alt season is sort of off the table at the moment. We'll see. We'll see what happens here after we find a new bottom from where we're at now. But seems like most of the potential weekly W's from like a month ago they're struggling. A couple did pop off, and then most of them seem to be struggling. And then with Bitcoin and Ethereum looking a little heavy, I don't think we can expect too many big moves in altcoins in general. Of course, there's always going to be something popping. But, as the market as a whole, I'm not expecting to be running right up here. And especially with the DXY ripping. So, I usually do a little broader market overview, and starting with the DXY just to get get an idea of where we're at with the inverse correlation between the risk off DXY market and the risk on market, which is, stocks and crypto. Bitcoin. As much as Bitcoin would maybe someday become a risk-off asset, it's very much tracking with, pretty much like a tech name. So I think it definitely falls into risk-on here. Although the direct correlation between the stock market and crypto this year has been, I don't know. Seems like when the stock market was ripping, crypto wasn't doing much, and then crypto's had its few moments here and there, but hasn't been directly correlated with like the Nasdaq, which we've seen in the past. But so anyway, yeah, dollar's ripping. So usually when you see a big green candle here today on, I guess the dollar took off overnight during the London session, and of course yesterday was a holiday, so the markets were pretty much. Some were closed, and then it was just kind of a dead day in general. Of course, crypto was not closed, but everything's kind of just getting back rolling again today in the traditional market. So, but anyway, when the dollar did open up, it seems to just be ripping higher. So, like, if we see a big green candle like this, probably can't expect the risk on market to be too strong today. But I think the long story here is, of course, we talked about whether or not the dollar was going to pivot here. Now we're starting to take out the last key high. So definitely seeing the trend changing a bit here. Finding support against the 200 here was a pretty good tell that it wasn't ready to come back down into the range and maybe even continue this sort of broader downtrend that was making lower highs and lower lows here for the past while. And so this is starting to become, I mean, either way you slice it, we still haven't even hit 38.2 off the top here. So it's not like we're in like short location per se. This isn't the kind of place where we should be calling tops in general. It's just sort of like, did we get a pivot here? It was a pretty reasonable place to consider a pivot if we were just making lower highs and lower lows, like I was saying. It's basically a downtrend, right? You can see, like, even though we kind of held the lows here, we popped up to a lower high, then dumped to a new low, broke the shit, broke the structure here. That's basically a big M, right? There's even an M here. And then just fucking rocketed off of this. This was the ABCD level off of these two. This leg here, ABCD, was like perfect PRZ, which was also just kind of into these highs right here. But we never really did get down into the Mountain Man 61.8 area, which, I thought might have been tagged. But it is what it is. Anyway, we're straight up from there. Kind of a little W in there, but basically just V-bottomed off the lows and has rocketed up. And now it's just pointing strongly higher still. It kind of tried to break here when it did get up into like 78.6s and this trend line resistance and the 200 period moving average, but it just could never truly break here. And now it's just, I guess the tell here, the moving averages are still just pointing up strongly here. And we just caught support off the 13 EMA again and fractaled again. And now it's just making new highs and doesn't really look like it's slowing down here today. So far it's closing, it's looking to close up near the top of the range for the day. So we probably shouldn't think of, and plus with Bitcoin looking super weak and Ethereum looking super weak, it's probably not going to, that's not great for Bitcoin and Ethereum watching this. But nonetheless, let's just wait. I think the RSI still hasn't gotten overbought yet here. So at this point, it's kind of like, let's see what happens here when RSI does get into overbought. You can kind of see last time it did sort of similar, like W'd into the overbought area and marked the top. Of course, this was like, if I remember correctly, was pretty good location. Yeah. So like the last time the DXY topped out, let's see, maybe we could even look at like a monthly chart for fun. Yeah. You can see this top came in right off of like 78.6, 88.6 kind of area. So that wasn't the worst place for a top to come in. And funny enough, these ABCDs, I've been watching this since, way back here, really, even or no, that was 2014. I guess here, right here, I was not watching the DXY. Didn't care. Although that is when I first found out about Bitcoin. It was about 2014. Not as a trader, though, more as like a tech nerd. Anyhow, oh yeah, so the ABCD, anyhow, this is funny. I haven't looked at this in a while, but it only shows up on my monthly chart. But damn, that kind of looks like it, still is active. So I don't know if maybe we see the dollar testing these highs all the way back to like 2001, I guess, financial crisis, really. or 2000, I should say, would be that. But so anyway, point being, wow, this is just on a monthly chart. You can actually see we're making, this is the beginning of September, obviously, and we got a 3-bar fractal breaking out here. So damn, that looks pretty strong still. So I think that, we should be cautious on the bull side for risk on is basically the only takeaway there. I mean, if you follow these kind of charts, you should be able to at least see that. I mean, 38.2 is way up here, so that's 106. So we could easily run up into there. So it sure has gone an awfully long way, but that doesn't mean it has to turn around right here. So I guess the pivot that we thought might come in here obviously did not come in, and now we can't call any tops here with this thing just shooting straight up. Have to at least wait a few days to see if any sort of 3-bar topping pattern comes in. So I don't know. I think should be cautious as a bull, I'd just say. And that's pretty much reflected in like the stock market today, although the Nasdaq's holding on a little bit better. But like the ES here is now threatening to put in a 3-bar top here, depending on how we open up later on the next candle. So it looks like Mountain Man stopped the rally. We still do have a W here, so I am still looking at this thing going, well, that's a W, right? And we also did make a higher low here. We're still just cranking higher. But, in this range here, if I just got rid of those fibs, just off the highs to this low, we came up into 61.8, and now we're threatening to 3-bar fractal back down again. And I have these lines on here because I was, well, not this one so much, but, whoops. Let's see, that's not what I want. Not that line so much, although that technically, I don't know if that's still support or not, but, we had support off of these highs here as we came down last time, just blasted right through it. But really what I was getting at with this line is there's this gap right here. And I think if there is, if they are going to take this market higher still, I have a feeling they'll come and fill this gap right here first. And so that'll be like kind of the, giving smart money a chance to get long again before they bounce it. So I'm almost thinking of that gap as almost like a magnet. We probably have to just come back down into it, at least somewhere in here. This would be like Wyckoff check thinking anyway, right? Like a W breakout starts pulling back. Maybe it finds support here at like 44.85 where this W breakout level is. Maybe. But also we could draw like fibs, off the lows here. And this is just like reload zones down here basically on that gap. And so I just kind of think that's a place to be watching for if this thing starts coming off here. That's sort of my general target. And really, like, RSI never got oversold, exactly opposite like the DXY. Did get W's in OBV, so I'm still hanging on here. I mean, there is like a W in OBV, which is that's a positive for the bulls. And then a W in price. So we'll see what happens in this area as we come back down. I wouldn't be surprised to see us back down here. And of course, nothing's to say we can't just be ranging for a while. So maybe we just have to range this thing for a little bit and, kind of play around here as we get down against this trend line eventually. Who knows when that is? That's a 200. This is the test I'm looking for, down the road. Like what happens when we hit this 200? Do we stay in an uptrend or do we lose it and fall apart like Bitcoin and Ethereum have done recently? So we'll see what happens. Of course, if we do what I just said here and break down, that's a big old M. So I guess it's kind of like really if you're like a stock market trader, or if you're watching this, I think anybody would, well, hopefully you'd be saying, well, this isn't like great buying location. I'm not going to load up right here. We're in reload zones, short zones off of the old highs. But we have established an uptrend here. So it's like, it's too late to be a buyer, on this daily chart. Totally fine to think about shorting. I mean, I really can't fault anybody for shorting these levels here, Mountain Man and higher at least. I kind of like the gap up here I've talked about as like a short. So like even my red and green line, those are kind of like shorting up here and longing down here, sort of like that's more of like a day trader locations for me, or like swing at best. But wouldn't fault anybody for taking shots off here, for sure. But we're still just waiting to see like if this uptrend's still intact or not. I mean, a pullback is warranted for sure, right? I mean, this is a pretty huge move. We've basically been rallying straight up all the way since last October. And September is typically a crappy month for the stock market. So like, does this thing, maybe we get this trend line tag here in September. But my point is that's the tell really. If we start emming out on the other side of this trend line, then it's probably like, okay, we can start thinking about reload zones down here against the range and stuff. But if we bounce off the 200 and stay strong and it keeps pointing higher, then I would say we're just kind of making a lower high here, and we'll likely come up and try to test the all-time highs, which I still do kind of think is going to happen. That's just my personal guess. I have no idea. Something in me thinks they're going to go after the highs sometime here, but we'll see. I could easily be wrong. But either way, I mean, the divergences came in back here, and then we got the dump. So any pops up into this area are good short locations. So I don't fault anybody for that. If they want to short this thing, it is, and it does seem a little bit weak. And again, with the dollar ripping and possibly changing trend to the upside, then that kind of opens up the window for shorts. Nasdaq still is trying to put in a green candle today. It was looking a little better here a minute ago. Now it's turning into more of a doji, but same story. Everything is the same here. Potential 3-bar top right at 61.8 fib. Same gap up top for short location if we could pop up there, and then same gap down here for longs if we get back down there. I suppose the only real difference is I still like that this trend line off the old top in the Nasdaq has like basically acted as support here, and it still is active. You know, we didn't lose it in any real earnest. So, but conversely, there's also more downside for the Nasdaq to get down to the 200 period moving average. And of course, I don't even have the trend line drawn off here, but that's going to be way lower. So the Nasdaq's more volatile than the ES in general. And it also has more downside open air, you could say, before it tests 200 support. So anyway, I mean, what can I say other than we're just back up against, I mean, this is like a classic short, actually. So, we had an M top and then coming back up into the M breakdown level. That's like killer short location on any time frame. So, definitely not a place to be longing. At least like on higher time frames. Yeah, so that's kind of the stock market. Nothing too. I mean, I do like these W's. I mean, it looks a lot better than crypto. I'll be straight up honest. At least there's some sort of base here that's set. I don't know if it's going to hold, but you can't say the same about Bitcoin right here. And Ethereum, not at least. I mean, this looks a little better. I usually mention the Russell too, and I'll just, this is a small cap stock market, and also I like to day trade these futures, but it's coming off hard today. Actually, it came up. I don't know if you're following. I mean, if you're in our premium group, then you probably heard me talk about this, but I don't remember if I was covering this in Tuesdays or Sundays shows, but either way, like last week it was just kind of as we were popping up here, I just sort of pointed out this 50% level and said that's kind of my target for hunting longs into that level. And then sure enough, we just did get up in there and get strongly rejected. Pretty brutal day actually for the old Russell. But it still was just basing off the 200 here. So it's still trying to hang on, but it's really just in the middle of the range. So there's nothing like, it's basically a little bit above the middle. The 50% level is actually down here against these lows. So we're sort of in the premium side of this range, kind of the more expensive side of the range if you want. So like if as a range trader, you can't really be hunting longs until down here. If I still, I was sort of thinking this ABCD might come in. It didn't really come in back here, and it is still active. And I'm still kind of thinking they might test the top of the range at least to see if we can set up. This is like sort of the small cap rally I'm looking for down the road. I don't know when that's going to come in, but wherever we start actually consolidating above this range and getting, moving higher, I basically just see this as like a giant continuation pattern, right? We have this strong move up off of the COVID lows here, straight up. And then actually kind of much like sort of this is a good example of the 200 losing, the downtrend being lost here. Uptrend. We're in an uptrend here through this period, and as we came down against the 200 here, sideways right into it, it tried to stay in the uptrend and ultimately just emmed out through it, and we went into a downtrend. That's just very simple kind of trend ID. I don't know. I love the 200 just for simply just seeing where you're at in the bigger trend. And so now you could argue that we went into a range, which is similar, like this was the range after the trend last time, and then we went into a bear market, and now we've been trapped in a range for like a year, and you can see the 200 just sort of trying to turn up, and that's why if we stay above the 200, I am looking for this, that this sort of action down the road somewhere in here. And as soon as we're up, if we're in this uptrend, that's when like I think small cap stocks will have a chance to really do something. After being pretty damn lackluster here, especially through when like Nvidia and all the sort of high flyers from this year were ripping. You weren't really seeing that in like the small caps, with the exception of the pump and dumps, which happen constantly, just like altcoins. Here and there's always something pumping, but in general, the market hasn't been like trending higher. So yeah, I don't know. That's a cool example actually of I really do think this is a very simple way to look at the markets that works if you're patient enough. Is like, this, does it start turning up and we start building above it to go into an uptrend, or do we stay range bound for the rest of our lives? Like Stanley Druckenmiller says, he says the stock market's going to go sideways for 10 years. So get ready if you guys maybe we don't see the kind of epic bull runs of the last 5 or 6 years, if he's right. But either way, does this happen, or does this lose this altogether, like Ethereum, I'll get to in a minute here, has done, and we actually have to consider that we're range bound all the way back here. We start hunting like reload zones down here. So it's just kind of, this is a horrible place to really make any huge convictions, or huge, I don't, we're just right in the middle right here trying to figure it out. So I can't really say for sure, but I am looking for this in general. I'm looking for more up than down, but I might be wrong. So we'll see. Like Bitcoin, is barely hanging on to its uptrend. And like, you can see what I even drew. I guess that was probably Sunday in the show. In general, just zooming back out really quick. In general, I'm still looking for this big range to kind of keep playing out. I don't know where the lows come in here. Maybe they're even lower. But I do think, since we kind of missed the 35K confluence target up here that I was really gunning for, I don't know. We haven't hit it yet. We're heading into September here, which isn't really great for risk on. It seems like the momentum's to the downside. So it does seem like we've started this part of the cycle of exploring this range here. Maybe we turn around and shoot straight up to 35 and still complete this head and shoulders here and all that stuff. But until that happens, I don't think we can really, there's a lot of signs that the bull is kind of on pause here. There's a weekly chart, but God, it's messy too. Sorry. Hopefully you can just see my head and shoulders here. That was that target. If you've watched this before, you've heard me ramble on about it a million times, but there's a nice head and shoulders here that's still working. And we're actually just sitting at the neckline here, which is just this sort of 25,200-ish key level here through this, all these support and resistance levels as that level's been tested multiple times now. And we're just hanging on to that. So that's kind of like this is sort of a crucial spot for Bitcoin to figure out what it wants to do. Because the more it heads down, the more it's breaking the uptrend. It's the more, the head and shoulders itself is active all the way down to here, funny enough, like way down to like 78.6 almost of the range. So it's not like this pattern could, we could still come down and eat some of that tail and turn around and the head and shoulders would actually still be valid. But, which would be hilarious. Wouldn't it be funny if the bottom came? That'd be actually really funny if the bottom comes in right around here in the reload zone of the range. And then that head and shoulders still ends up becoming a thing. Like that, I could totally see that. So that's 26,000 where we're at right now, basically. And, the reload zones are down at 22,000 and below. So like another $4,000. Over the next few months into the end of the year, hopefully you can at least consider this a possibility. If you're if you're like desperate for Bitcoin to go up right here, then that probably means you're either over allocated or you're too emotionally involved or something, because like the chances of it coming down are every bit as good as of it going back up at this point. Maybe even probabilities higher that it'll move lower now. But nonetheless, it's still hanging on to support. So like as long as it's staying, you can see how it's just come down now. This is a weekly chart, so like we've got a couple tests of it recently, and it's just trying its best to stay above it. Just like here, where it really came down and tested it, and then just rocketed. That was I guess that was like BlackRock, right? That was the BlackRock news. And of course, this dump was the Coinbase, or I'm sorry, Grayscale news. Da 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 da. Who cares? Whatever the news was, I don't know. I don't know how much it mattered. I guess in the short, really. So, like, just getting off topic here a little bit. I mean, with the weekly chart, I just wanted to make the point that I do think we're in this sort of range now. And I do think we're going to slide into the end of the year for a bottom. Set up potential longs into the halving event next year. Same old story, accumulation year. Get ready to buy altcoins here. That all is very much still, that all applies. The only thing that's really changing here is the uptrend that Bitcoin was in. I don't think you can argue that crypto was in an uptrend. But sort of just like I was talking about the Russell, so like we were in a big bear market here, and then we kind of started grinding sideways as the bear market was resolving, consolidated against the 200, eventually broke through it. That was the change in structure, or change in market state from bear to potential bull as we broke through there. And then as we came back down and tested it, that sort of confirmed that we were a bull. Like here, we confirmed we were a bear. So funny how this always happens. I mean, I can't say always. I mean, this happens so much. That's why I talk about it so much. I mean, I'm not saying like sure, you didn't sell the top of the market if you sold right here, but here it was hard to call tops right here, just in the sense of we didn't, there was like divergences and stuff, but we could have kept cranking higher. But once we lost the 200 and then came back up into it here and got rejected, that was when it was like the bear market was fully on for sure, in my opinion. I mean, you can see the W's. I remember this. I clearly remember this because everybody was like, so bullish as this W was coming in, and everybody wanted to see this again. Like everybody got scared when this happened, and then it made it up higher again. And then here, there was a lot of people that got sucked in long here and just got shit all over. So it's always hard to buy right into a 200 period moving average on a daily chart, in my opinion. It's risky. I mean, here it worked, but here you were also in better trade location, and it was sort of starting to change. But anyway, what's my point here? All I'm saying now is you can see how we lost the 200, came up and got rejected off of it, and now we're heading down again. So there's a change in the state here happening. We've lost the downtrend line, we've lost the 200, and in general just kind of like pointing down here now. I think to play it safe, just wait for a W here. It could come in anywhere. This is why I have this little thingy on here. I mean, if anything, we'll probably at least FU these lows at this point. They'll probably take out the lows here, just take all that liquidity before taking it higher. If they do, if the plan is to bounce it here, then they'll probably still take those lows. And funny enough, we still haven't. So I guess to finish my thought, we've lost the 200. We've lost the trend line now. I mean, we haven't really M'd out past the trend line, but we're losing the trend line, you could say. So the trend is being weakened here, but funny enough, we still are making a higher low so far because this low has not been taken out. So it seems like they'll at least FU probably even that low before they take it higher, just to sort of, suck in the last late shorters and wash any longs out, that are just stopped sitting right here. But it looks heavy is all I'm saying. And Ethereum has lost the low, but Bitcoin's still hanging on. That's why I said hanging on to the trend at this point. It might turn around and get going, but at this point now we have 200 period resistance. So any moves up against the 200, I'll be looking for like rejections like that for right now until we start getting on the other side of it. So kind of looks like Bitcoin wants to head lower. Now, this green box is actually the 38.2 to 50% level zone off of the lows, which, the 38.2 is also this same 28,200, 300-ish head and shoulders neckline area. So we also have to lose 38.2 in earnest to truly say that this uptrend's over. But we'll see. I mean, looks weak, but I'll also just add also really quick, just from, Paul kept saying to everybody, don't get bearish into support here. And I think that's correct. Like, as a trader, you shouldn't be thinking of shorting right here. This is horrible short location to be going and piling in on the short side. You already missed any shorts. If anything, that was the last chance. This pop up into 38.2, maybe you could have been hunting, especially zoomed in. But I don't think right here is it. Really, you got to kind of be thinking long here. So it's just like waiting for some sort of structure to allow you to start hunting longs on lower time frames, if that's your thing. On a daily chart, same thing. I don't think you can really entertain buying here until we have a reason to think trend continuation. Like, there's no reason to think that this is a higher low right now to move higher. We need like a W or something, or at least a 3-bar fractal or something. And personally, I'd rather see the price just take out the lows here so we can set up a divergence here. We never got any. We kind of got a W in RSI, but we never really got a divergence. So that's why I have that little thing drawn there. Just I was saying this another day. But, if we take out these lows, then we can start forming, even this, a wider divergence will actually start coming in if we hold the lows on our side. So waiting for that bare minimum is probably the thing before you go get long. So, just keep that in mind. And really, I would say the end all tell is the OBV just looks like hell. Like, not wait for a W in OBV to truly think this is bottomed. I mean, this perfect example would be the difference between, right here, we were kind of Wing out and we pumped up into the 200, and okay, fine. Like that, there's W's there. And like I could see hunting longs, but OBV was still Ming out through that period. Whereas like the stock market, exact opposite. And you can kind of see the difference really is like, we started Wing out here in the stock market. And then now we did push higher and have sort of maintained it. We didn't just get immediately rejected like Bitcoin did. So OBV is always I think it's the strongest tell in indicators that I've seen. You have to be patient. It comes in last. And moving on to Ethereum, look how horrible OBV looks in Ethereum as an example. Definitely no turn in OBV for Ethereum yet. It's just pointing straight down. And funny enough about Ethereum, though, is, of course, in hindsight, you can see that actually we got OBV divergence on the bearish side up here. As we moved up into that high, we started putting in potential OBV divergence. And then sure enough, that 78.6 marked the top. So like that was a sick short. Anybody that went and took like an FU off of this high and also at 78.6 with potential OBV divergence, that's the kind of trade that you're looking for. That's sort of what you want to be looking for, as opposed to shorting into support here. Not that Bitcoin has more support than Ethereum, but point being, this isn't great short location here. We're actually down against the lows of this supposed range that's being tested right now. If we are, if you considered this high to this low, the range, we're definitely testing it here. Haven't like lost it in earnest yet, but it's definitely being tested. And really, I think with Ethereum, everything's the same as Bitcoin, except for we didn't get up into the 200. I had drawn this as like a possible short, like continuation short, if we got up into, to back up for a minute, unlike Bitcoin, Ethereum actually M'd out here. We lost the last higher low. So we actually broke the structure. Not a great sign for the bulls. And, and then we broke the 200 and the trend line at the same time pretty strongly. So like any moves up into the 200 were definitely resistance, in my opinion. We never got up there. And now we're just seem to be completing this ABCD basically, which is the 50% level. So it's like we're almost back to the middle of the range. So it's not horrible short location again. Like, you don't want to be piling into shorts right here. We're just right above the 50% level, which is the middle of this huge range. I guess I've drawn these blue lines here to mark. So really, it's just the middle of the road here. There's not much to do with old Ethereum. Can't really short it here. You can't really long it here. It looks, it looks heavy, and I just, this ABCD basically comes right down into the 50% level of the range, which also is basically $1,500. So it kind of seems like $1,500 is the next stop. In terms of support, I don't know where you can really draw some support. There's clearly like support down here all the way at Mountain Man, which is 61.88 fib at 1350, which is the W here. So You could see how last time they dumped it into it, which was also the 200. They found support there. But really, I don't. It's just kind of like I don't know if open air is the right word, because there's plenty of business that was done through here. I mean, there is some kind of fair value gaps down here around Mountain Man, but I don't think there's like a solid support line. Like at least Bitcoin has that head and shoulders neckline. That's also 38 point. There's a lot of reasons why Bitcoin's holding that line a little bit. Ethereum itself doesn't really have that same kind of thing. And we're actually below 38.2 already in Ethereum. So, or no, that's not true. Well, yeah, we are a little bit. 38.2 is up at 1660 and we're sitting at 1630. So close. Paul's okay with playing the range game for 10 years. Yeah, I mean, you can't make money. I mean, and keep in mind, that's a big range. So there's going to be plenty of opportunity to make money. I find that fascinating that, probably Stanley Druckenmiller, the person that, go listen to him. Don't listen to me. I just find it fascinating that that's his call. He says 10 years of sideways. But of course, sideways means, there's plenty of money to be made in that sort of environment. It's just as a trader, you just can't. His advice was also very much, if you're the type of person that's just investing into the S&P as like a retirement account or pension fund or whatever, you're just like passively, and that's, keep in mind, that's like 90% of Americans and whatever, I don't know how it is in every other country, but most people's pensions are invested into the stock market, and they're probably just not going to see very much, it might be 10 years from now and their portfolios are just the same. But that's after the market went up and down like crazy. Bitcoin will probably 5x or something in between there. It's just fascinating. Like maybe Ethereum never makes all. I saw somebody else saying they didn't think Bitcoin would ever make $100,000, and maybe they're right. And maybe like, what if Ethereum just ranged here for the next 5-10 years between 4,800 and 1,000? There's no reason it couldn't. But think of all the money you could make just trading that. So, and of course, Paul's a total range trader, so he's gonna be fine with it. There'll still be like micro trends, and there'll still be things pumping, and there'll still be alt seasons and all that stuff. They might not just be like, oh, okay, Bitcoin's going to $1 million type seasons. We'll see. I think it's dangerous to, this is a side note, but I think it's dangerous to get too caught up into that. Actually, the whole game, the whole point to this, or the whole like secret to this game, if there's a secret, is not getting caught up in that. Really, you should be, building, you should be identifying what speaks to you in terms of like probably technical analysis. It could be fundamental analysis or whatever analysis that you like, but identifying what you like, and then identifying the edge inside of that, and then building strategies that can be profitable, using the things that speak to you. And try to not get too caught up into, I don't know what's going to happen in 10 years, but think about how many day trades you could take in the next 10 years. You could be trading a lot. So, don't get too, I have no idea what's going to happen. I don't know. I think it's I don't think it's an unreasonable thing. The things I'm saying, I think are reasonable. Like, and it's not just me. It's actually almost all the people that I also follow too, or the people I don't know, trust, or I don't even want to say that I think are smart, because you don't even have to be that smart to do this. But, the people that that have experience, that I follow and appreciate their input, everybody's kind of saying the same thing. It's like we went through a pretty brutal bear market. The cycles have kind of been relatively stable. It's relatively reasonable to think that we're going to base sometime into this year and next year, and maybe move higher up into the halving, which is next April. And there'll probably be some sort of bull run. And I just from basic technical analysis, I think that this sort of concept of the range that's being built here makes sense. The one I drew on Bitcoin, I think that still just makes sense. So like, try not to make it too complicated. I'm just, in here, this was like a pretty good time to be trying to take punts on altcoins. And sure enough, a lot of doubles were had. Of course, anybody that was buying Bitcoin into 78.6, down here at 17,000, they basically got a double, and now prices rolled over. And so that was sort of the dead cat bounce rally. And now I think it makes sense to just wait for a W to come in here, and then we'll probably get another something. Even if it's just like that, there's still I mean, you could still bang out 50 extras and shit coins and stuff in something like that, I'm sure. So even if we only get back to the 50% level at 42,000, that's enough. If we come down here and base and move up into there, that's enough to have a pretty good altcoin season. So I guess don't get too discouraged. Yeah, maybe there won't be another ripper like the past, or maybe there will be. I have no idea. But I think what we're saying is pretty. I mean, if anything, I'm just willing to take my shot. I'll just say that. Like, I'm willing to take a bet down here. And my focus will be on altcoins more than Bitcoin per se. But, as Bitcoin comes down into basing, I'm willing to take a shot here and make the assumption that these lows are going to hold for the most part and we're going to move higher. And then if that doesn't work, then I'm going to make sure I've put myself in a position where I don't blow myself up. If this W that comes in here fails and we do head down lower, then I'll just wait for the next W to come in. And hell, I'll wait for the third one. But in my experience, usually the second W is the good one, especially in stocks. I can't really prove that in crypto, but it's not. I mean, you could kind of say that here. Like, the first W came in Bitcoin last cycle and did produce a monster rally, actually. But then, ironically, the real bottom was the second. I guess it didn't lose the low, so that's not really my same argument. What I was trying to say is it's not, if the first weekly W fails, then the second one's usually pretty good. I don't know. The third one is like, that's like, oh shit, okay. But usually you're going to have a pretty good chance off the second one. I mean, that's assuming you're buying a good location. You can't count W's way up here or something. I suppose my point here is kind of the same, but we never actually took out the lows, but you can still see how they gave everybody another chance. So this is the same kind of thing, though. I mean, this was a dead cat bounce. It was a hell of a dead cat bounce, to be fair, like monster. But then, of course, we had to work our way back down into actually making the base. And really, this is December 2019 in here. And that would have probably been the bottom around there if it wasn't for COVID. I think that we might have just kept kind of consolidating against the 200 here and eventually did what we did. The dump was sort of more black swan, but even that was really nothing that surprising, just coming down into the old market structure. So this is still kind of what I think will happen. Basically, it just isn't going to look exactly like this, but yeah, they're going to work the market back down before taking it up again. It's pretty common. It's not like, it might be a little bit too much to ask for it to just go straight up from here. I think there needs to be more sideways. So anyway, that's a hell of a ramble for supposed to be talking about altcoins. Jeez. I don't know. I like talking about that stuff. So hopefully somebody finds value in it. To me, I'm just kind of talking about this shit. I like it. It's easy for me to sit here and talk about it. And plus it helps. The more I just kind of do this, the more I just see the market for myself so that I can act appropriately. But I'll jump into some of the requests real quick too, though, because I do have a bunch of names to look at. This isn't one of them. Uni. I had Uni up here just on my chart, on my screen, but there's nothing particularly interesting about it. It's just sort of bumping along lows. This is a pretty good state of all altcoins here. It's like you got like a weekly W back here that marked the last run up, and now we've worked our way all the way back down to it, and we're just sort of flirting with it. There's no bullish market structure here. There's no W's and OBV. Like, maybe you can argue that's kind of a W in there, but I don't really love it. And also we're kind of breaking down with an M here at a lower high. So we're actually kind of Ming out here if we do lose the low. So this is kind of how I see a lot of altcoins here. Just they just need more time. Don't rush. There's like no reason to rush. If you don't have a plan that with setups, and if you're just trying to maybe nibble into some altcoins and hope for the best, and you don't really have a plan, I certainly do not think now's a good time to go and just willy-nilly start adding to stuff. If you love Uni, Uniswap, if you love this thing and want to own it and give it to your kids as an inheritance, then sure. Like, okay, fine. You can, it's not like you're buying an up market here, but it's just, it doesn't really show any signs of turning. And like what I just said about Ethereum and Bitcoin, let's let the market tell us when it's ready. It's not ready yet. So anyway, that's just one that was on my screen, but I'll start with Dodo was one, I have about like 10 requests. So I'll just, some of them were actually already on my list too, but, Dodo is one that I remember I bought, I guess it was back in, it was like I bought kind of high and then got a double off anyway. Yeah, I remember the sort of altcoin traders in our group were trading this like right through that pump. And I ended up just buying it as it came down there and then went underwater for a classic trade. This kind of investing here. Had to hold on to it for a while, but then sure enough to get a double off here in that rally. Which this was sort of like the early in that first quarter rallying. I mean, that was February. It wasn't that early. Late February, that is. Now we do have some W's, so it actually looks better here than it did actually. I mean, I was kind of front running the W. It wasn't really a W there. Or this one, I mean. Actually, that's September, and this is, well, it was one of those. I can't remember now. Anyway, OBV's been really nice here. So right away, like, I mean, I know the person that requested this, probably knows my spiel anyway. That's probably why they even picked it. But, I mean, right here, there was definitely an OBV divergence, which is what produced that rally. You know, OBV was making, higher lows through here and, technically didn't confirm that divergence till it looks like right there. And we didn't get a nice W after, but point being, it was in divergence. That would be like step one I'd be looking for. In a situation like this, I can't really go back and draw fibs against the old range, right? So we're just, location is simply just, it's gotten kicked in the nuts. That's the only reason, your only gauge for location really is that we've just gotten hammered. I mean, you could use some moving averages. Potentially you'd want to at least see them consolidating, I would say, like if you're trying to use moving averages as a location tool for trying to pick a good location for something that's making new lows. It doesn't have past history to work with. I think like right here, as they came together and started crossing for the first time, that would be like a pretty good place to get interested, as opposed to like when we're coming up into 13 EMA resistance, but they're still super wide and pointing down. If you see something like that, that just means a downtrend is intact and they're just going to reject here. That's very common. It's like they're so wide and they're just pointing straight down. But as they start consolidating here, you can even see like the W's start coming in right on that. And so then, okay, fine. And now we can draw fibs off of this range. So, I guess we can call location. We actually made a new low even though, so we can't even really draw fibs off of that pop. But we're just bumping along the lows. So we know we're not buying a up market here. We're not chasing. And we actually have a weekly W here. It just, well, anyway, so we're still making OBV divergences. I didn't finish my spiel. We have good location. OBV divergence is also coming in again. We even have one. Let's see that. Is that actually true? We have, I mean, from that key low there, as price came down, now to a newer low, OBV is making a W here. And we also have now confirmed that. So those are two of my setups, two reasons. They're good. And then the third reason is good too. It's actually, then we have a weekly W and we even got a close above the breakout level. So this one's basically like ready to go, which is nice. Actually, so that I was shitting on altcoins a bit ago. And I do think it is still, I mean, everything I said was true. There's a couple that look better than others. Let's just say that. It's nice to see that this one looks, this is acceptable in my opinion. And so it has, location, OBV divergence and weekly W, and now it's just sitting kind of above the breakout level. So I don't love the idea of just buying it right here. Although truthfully, I mean, it's sitting at 11.98, 12 cents here, and the low is at 8 cents. So I mean, there's 30 plus % downside risk, which is acceptable if you were to buy right here, I think. And doubles would just be, up into sort of like less than reload zones probably of this range. Double's going to come in around the 50% level, somewhere in here. So that all makes sense to me. I don't think you need to chase it right here, or it's, maybe it takes off here, but I think it's acceptable. That's like not the worst idea, but I don't know. Probably buying it at, this is actually 1088 to be specific. Somewhere around there and below would be like sort of sniping. I think that's a nice W to work from. I mean, we did, to be fair, we kind of took out the right side of the W, but we held. So there is like that to think about, and that's kind of like a magnet a bit now. This wick sticking down here, but in general, I like it. I mean, it's sitting at Mountain Man here technically, so yeah, you can't. I wouldn't. Yeah, you can chase it right there if you want. I mean, I'm not telling anybody what to do specifically. That's not fully chasing, in my opinion. But I also don't think there's any rush here. It might take a while for this thing to just kind of bang along here. I mean, after all, we have made new lows. I should just be clear about. We did take out, so we're still making lower lows technically, and this is technically a lower high because we haven't taken out this high yet. So I mean, the trend is still, and hell, the moving averages are still cross bearish. I mean, they're being tested right here. So at bare minimum, these moving averages are going to need to consolidate again and cross. And so it's got work to do to truly set the base. But in general, in terms of just taking a shot at this, I don't see any problem with the three reasons of my setup are in. It's just whether or not you love this weekly W is up to you. It's kind of weird, but I don't mind it. So I like that one. And actually, yeah, somebody was asking about perp too, which I thought was funny. I guess they mean, there is I don't know what this is. Is it I don't trade on Binance, so I'm not exactly sure what perp is. If it's like an index of, I don't even know what it is. I guess it's just a shit coin, but it looks damn good. I looked at it earlier. This one looks good. Actually, all these, thanks David for sending me these. They all seem to be pretty good. So this one, obviously this one you are chasing, I think right here. It's doubled today since Sunday. It's basically up 45 up to, 80 now. It basically doubled in this weekly candle here. So I don't know about buying it right here, but I think it's set the stage for a bottom now. I mean, first I would just kind of draw my fibs here and say the location's, was good. It's not good at the moment, but 61.8 is 70 cents. So that's sort of even a little bit chasey, but anywhere below 70 cents seems like decent location now. So I think location's good down there, which is, basically the W breakout level. But look at OBV. I mean, I probably just sound like a broken record, but this is what works for me. And while I can't guarantee anything will happen, I strongly recommend anybody go and find OBVs that look like this, and also find ones that look like Ethereum looks right now, and see which ones perform better. And your mind will be opened. And it'll become a lot easier to do this. I think until the powers that be take OBV away from us. I'm just kidding. I mean, it's not a guarantee, but it does. I mean, and also like, OBV is a little different. It's harder to use in like lower time frames, I'd argue, but it still works. But keep in mind what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to call weekly bottoms here. I'm not really trying to call short-term pivots. And so when I see something like OBV like this is just telling me that people are done selling and now people are accumulating. That's all that's telling me. It's just saying that the sellers have exhausted themselves in general, and now there's pretty much most of the business being done or active, people that are trying to accumulate this. Like the panic sellers, I should say. The people that are selling right here, just when this thing's collapsing, they're all gone now. And so slowly but surely now it's like the money's flowing in. You can kind of see the volume went dead here for whatever reason for a while, but we were getting a lot of bullish momentum and volume here. And then, of course, right now, there's whatever happened here to cause this breakout today is producing, or this week is putting a pretty big bar. But nonetheless, OBV divergences came in back here. And like this weekly W would have been a nice place. Like anywhere in here, you could have been buying that breakout level, and I love that. That's kind of what I'm trying to do here, right? So like OBV divs came in, at least potential to there, and then confirmed right here. So that would have been the week that this confirmed, and you could have just worked. I don't know. It's a little weird because this W's wonky as hell. But like, if you would have just bought the breakout level at 60 cents, you would have gotten a double here, and that would have been kind of chasing a little bit, but you would have had an opportunity. That's not the best example, but it still is a weekly W, and there was a couple weeks of Wyckoff checking that level after the OBV divergence came in. So now we have low from that low to that low, not in divergence. OBV right here was still making lower lows. And then now we have a W. So not really divergence, but a W is also an acceptable thing for me. So you can see now we came down and made the low, and now we've made a W, and we also have a W in price. So I think really with this, it seems like a good, it seems good enough. It's just like where does the top come in? And then, say it's right there, for example, you'll probably find that this green line falls into the new reload zone. And so somewhere around that level is going to be the next buy opportunity. So I don't really recommend going and I don't think it's a good idea to go buy here. You're actually buying into this, old M top here. And that's probably a 61.8 tag. 50% level nonetheless. So it might have a little more in it. We get back up into like short reload zones somewhere up here before this thing rolls over. And who knows, maybe it goes to the moon. I'm not, But as a new buyer, if you're interested in buying this, I think now you got to just wait and draw your fibs and then start hunting good location after that. But otherwise, everything else is in. So, the chances of this being a bottom are pretty reasonable. It looks pretty good. The only issue is it did already double today. And if doubles are, if people were buying this breakout at 57 and getting doubles up at like 114 or so, like if it gets up into here and right away, and that means everybody got their doubles, and then it comes back down. It sort of has to reset up at that point, and maybe it becomes better to wait for W's again. It really comes down to how aggressive you are. But the base itself looks pretty into me. It's worth taking a shot off of, in my opinion. So I like that one. NKN was actually on my list too for today, but mostly just because it's got damn good location and nice OBV. Although kind of sort of weakening OBV, it's still just in general. I don't know what that line was. Oh, I was just marking this old divergence. That's the perfect setup there. And actually, doubles were had for me on this one. I did get a double in that pump there, but this is my setup in a nutshell. It's just, clear 88.6 is way up here from the old range. So like anywhere below there was really good location coming to here. I didn't participate in this first pump. And also there was no reason for me to, I never saw a W here. But sure enough, we pumped up and then came down, and through that period right there, nice OBV divergence that confirmed on that pump. Then you had to wait another couple months for the W to actually come in. But then they gave you all these weeks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks to buy that level, and then get a double right after. Because then they pushed price up to like 21. So that there's plenty of opportunity to buy through there. And that's what I'm looking for. Exactly this. So is that happening right now? Not really. I do like, I'm happy. I already started reloading again with my second car. As price came back down in here, I bought more. But that was buying back my position, and I'm a little more, I don't necessarily need to wait for the weekly W if I'm buying back a previous double. I'm okay with just hitting the level because I'm trying to accumulate. So I'm down. So anyway, I do think that anywhere around here is okay for nibbles. Like if you just want to nibble this name, I don't see a problem with that. The only issues now I would say is, location's good. We've already established that. OBV's generally trending up still. However, it is like currently sort of emming out a bit. Like we didn't get divergence on that move for the bears. Actually, there wasn't bearish divergence, which is nice, but still we started emming out here. We made a lower high here and then put in an M. And it is trying to W, and it is in general trending up. So that, I'm not saying throw in the towel here. It still is pointing higher. It's just kind of showing weakness in the short term, and of course, so is crypto in general. There's even an M right here, but can't deny that it's just pretty good location. And then I'll also say you can't really deny that if we lose the lows here at 60 cents, there still is a lot of downside risk, all the way down to 1 cent. So there's actually a lot of, that's always something to be mindful about if this thing has like a previous cycle history to it, or if any of these names do. If we can't base right here, then it might just have to grind all the way back down to like, at least even like that's the old breakout level, 43 cents. So either way, it's got, or 043. So either way, there's 50% of risk here at minimum, and maybe more. And that's just a killer level right there. That's a classic Wyckoff check. They put in the huge weekly W, and then, a couple weeks later gave you 2 weeks to buy that level, and then just fucking launched it. So in general, I like this one. And we've talked about it a lot, actually. I feel like I don't know what it does, or, I don't know about the FA for it, but I think if you're being conservative, let's see what happens. Like, I could easily see it just kind of ending up Wing down here somewhere. So like, that was a horrible W, but you get the point. I could see it coming back down against that level, and it doesn't look particularly strong right here, like I said. So I think it's like nibbles are fine. This would be something like on our road to financial freedom plan. We might be willing to put a 0.5% here, and then we're going to wait for the next W to add the other half. So I definitely think it's hard to call a bottom here, but it's worth a nibble if you're inclined. I don't think I've, or I do have volume profile in here. I was going to say, well, it's sitting right at the POC right here. So, it's good location for sure, without a doubt. And relatively like decent momentum. What else I got? Prom. This was developed by... never mind. I was going to make a bad joke. Wasn't coming together for me, though. First off, I'd say this one has very little history, which makes it trickier in general. This is kind of like we were talking about ARB the other day, ARB, and just how eager people were to want to buy it when it was just too new to really get a good idea of what's going on. But I can appreciate that there's my setup here. I don't know what it looks like. I guess I got coin market cap. Corn market cap. Let's see what kind of history this thing had in the past. I don't know anything about it. So, it's got a lot. Wow, this thing goes back to 2020. So, and location looks good, obviously. Sitting at it's like 3, whatever it is right now, 408. And the old breakout level is 315. So that's not so bad. Yeah, you see the nice W back there. And that's kind of where we're headed right now. So I think that level's 284, and we're about $4 right now. So there is downside risk, but that's probably where price is going ultimately. 284, is that what I said? Yeah, 284. So probably headed lower, quite a bit lower, really. They just pumped it for whatever reason. Did it actually get not quite doubles on that pump for anybody? But with just what I'm looking at here, I do have to say that there is OBV divergence through there. You can see the higher low and the W come in as we move to newer low. And then you see the weekly W come in. Pretty good example of one that didn't get a candle body close above the breakout level. So kind of a weak W. And sure enough, price just came right back down the lows. And we kind of did like what was that, Dodo, I think, that actually took out the right side of the W2 already. But either way, it pumped pretty good, and now they just took it right back. So I don't love this, especially with them just taking the whole move back like that in one week. And then when I looked at that larger history with the W level down at 284, I think that's probably where it's going. I just think this isn't really my style to try to buy something that has this little history. I kind of like to, in general, as a conservative person, very simply, I like to look for this. I like to look for that. I want to see a pump first, and then I want to wait for it to come back against the old range lows and buy the W there. That's just general. That's what I'm looking for. I'm not really trying to buy this on a brand new name so much. I mean, it's nice when you can. It's just not really my style in it. Like, I mean, like going back to being a range. I mean, I'm basically a range trader here, right? And I want to see the range developed first. I don't want to, like here, I'm just kind of your guess is as good as mine. It could go all the way to 0 from here. There's nothing to really base anything off of, but there is a W for anybody that's aggressive that wants to hit it. It's like the W did come in. It's just, I don't know. I mean, learn this image, if anything. I mean, every chart we pull up basically looks like this, right? I don't know if you like, anybody that likes to skateboard, you can build yourself a launch ramp. Yeah, so anyway, too little. I mean, well, this is Binance. Of course, I just said too little history, and I hilariously, after I actually went and pulled up. So I take that back. It's got plenty of history, and it has come down against the range lows. It's just not far enough down against them yet. I see this W right here, and I think that's probably where price is going. So I guess it's just newer on Binance, but what else do I have? Perp, Encan, Dodo, Prom, Fetch AI, which made me think about Render. Let's look at Render really quick, and then we'll look at Fetch AI. I was just thinking about Render because, of course, this was like the darling of the first quarter of the year. I missed it. I mean, to be fair, this is kind of like, there is no range back here to work with. I didn't trade this, but it was, it did a nice 50 cents up to $3 or so. And like it did have W's back here, but really all I'm getting at today is I just pulled it up and noticed that we're getting down into reload zones. So like anybody that wanted to buy Render and missed it last time, you're getting your second shot here. I feel like they moved the freaking square, and then now I can never find it. Oh, it's in here. Why do I just draw my little box here? But yeah, we got a Mountain Man tag. I mean, this looks very heavy, and OBV is still emming out. So I'm not saying it's bottomed yet. I'm just saying that it's getting back down into locations where people that want to buy it can start thinking about about that. I personally like this W, at least bare minimum 78.6 here against that W breakout level. It seems like the next stop for me. I don't really see any huge rush to hit it right here. I'd rather just let this thing play out into the rest of the year. But either way, anybody that's buying Render up here is getting wrecked right now. So, it's a great example of not getting caught up in like the hype. I had to watch this thing. I didn't particularly love watching it go straight up without me. But I didn't go buy it. Of course, I could have maybe bought there. I didn't do that. I actually remember that too, but that was almost a potential area. I mean, it was reload zones, I suppose. If you're watching like a hawk, you could have hit Mountain Man right there. But anyway, point being, it's like, yeah, don't buy up markets like this. You're just going to pay the price here. Everybody thought Render was going to $1 million right here. And then sure enough, now it's more than 50% down off the highs. Probably headed lower. I mean, you can see there's no bottom here yet. So I just wanted to point out that it has made its way back down. Now it's starting to. Fetch AI, I can't remember what that. Oh, yeah, I guess it's FET. And this one. Well, start with the good stuff. I mean, it did get a nice OBV divergence back here when the actual bottom came in, and that produced the big rally. And now we're still trending higher here in OBV in sort of the bigger picture. And now, just like Render, this one made it farther back down all the way to 78.6 already. So like anybody that was just hitting 78.6 here, it's not unreasonable if if that works for you and that's what you're doing, just hitting levels like 78.6. It's not the worst thing to do. At least you're not chasing. But And I guess you could argue there's sort of a weird, like a clothesline weekly W, but this tail kind of screwed that. They FU'd the lows here. Not really a weekly W, but close. I mean, it'll show up like that as a weekly W. So, I don't. For me, really, I don't like the location. I mean, it is in the reload zone for sure. It's below 61.8 right now. It based off 78.6. I just see this area down here as open air. So like I don't see any reason why they won't go after 88.6 here by the time this thing truly bottoms. So I think they're trying to trap people right here a little bit, sucking them in. And we'll see what happens. I mean, you can see that there is like resistance right here at this M level. Basically, they're going to, getting anywhere up into here starts getting into resistance. I suppose you could draw a trend line off the top here and just keep it simple and just say, I'm going to wait, for a real W here. You can see how the trend line became support. It's just like, do they walk it down the trend line all the way down to 88.6 first and W out down here? That's what I would guess is going to happen. I don't really love location here. I like to see, I drew my little half pipe or quarter pipe, or it's actually more like a spine because it has two quarter pipes pushed up against each other. I want to see like this thing truly bottom. Like I want a nice transition bottom. I don't want to, I don't really like here. It's like up too high in the range. It is technically in below 61.8, but like it's a lot of downside here. Like it's sitting at 25 cents here and the lows are down at 5 cents. So it could come off a lot. I prefer to let this thing round out a bit, so I don't love it. That is what it is. OBV looks nice though, and it is technically actually making a divergence now because we did dip to a new low. So really I just need a W. Anywhere a W comes in and I'll be, anywhere below here that a W comes in and I'll be more interested. Right now, not so much. Hi, I saw everybody was trading. Now that I'm just a spectator I just watch the other people in the community trade crypto now. I get to watch them do it. So I don't really trade. I don't have any great place to take a margin position, leverage trading for crypto anymore. So, but I saw people were looking at this as a potential long on lower time frames, and I could see that. Even just looking at a weekly chart, I could support that idea just from one, I see great location here, and I also see basically a 3-bar fractal. I see an inside bar and a 3-bar fractal trying to form. The inside bar is already confirmed. But staying zoomed out, clearly location's good against the lows here. We're probably below 88.6. So first off, I'll just look at that and say, 88.6 is sitting right where we're at, basically. $1.28. It's basically sitting right at 88.6. So just that in itself, it's like, okay, fine. Like if you really want to own a high for whatever reason, it's the future of finance. Then like that's not the worst place to buy it for sure. But it's not. My setup's not in, right. There's a couple pieces missing there. There's at least one piece missing there. The location's good. OBV is, I was going to say it was in divergence, but it actually looks like it's not because, it made a new low here. So I thought that was actually going to be a higher low at first. We actually M'd out there. And then this is too small of a W to get too worked up about, but I suppose there is a little W there. And so in general, we're clearly like, this is a good example of something where money has been flowing in and not out. Like sure, there was a pump that got most of the move taken back. But definitely OBV is in this bottoming phase so far. OBV's been generally trending higher, so that's a good sign as opposed to just pointing straight down. And so really, I don't have anything in OBV, so I only have one reason here. I have my location, which is good, and really I want to see if I guess this is the divergence I was thinking about actually. There technically is this from here to there. It's not confirmed yet. So I suppose like if we can actually, break out here, it's pretty weak, but that is a little cheeky divergence. It's enough for me. I just would also then need a W. So ideally this thing would just kind of W right here. And, I can buy anywhere against that W. That would be like, the idea. But keep in mind, like even the way I drew it, that's December. So and this, that is what I'm looking for. So like it's like September, October, November. These things should be coming in like this, hopefully, or maybe it takes into December. Probably into December, I should say. Just thinking about like sort of end of the year kind of reasons for people exiting. But anywhere that W comes in, then I like this. I have no problem. For fun, we could look at what is there a reason to take a trade on a lower time frame? I don't know if people were actually trading it or I just saw somebody talking about it. I don't even remember, but let's just look at look at the daily first, just for fun. And yeah, there's a W there, and it looks So actually, we do have OBV divergence trying to come in too there on that dip. Kind of a weird kind of FU low panic sell off there. That makes the risk window kind of deeper because of this tail if you're risking to the tail. But then the W came in, although it's not we actually took out the lows. So that's not technically a W either. I mean, there technically is one. I mean, I see this one, basically like a wider W. So there is a W, but I mean, I could see why somebody would be hunting longs in here on a shorter time frame. This is a daily chart. Definitely looks like it's pushing higher with the W. And then 4-hour chart, maybe it's a little late now. It's starting to chase, but when they were talking about it, it probably seemed to make sense. There's a little W there. So if you're hunting in there for some reason, and then even just going all the way down to 30-minute chart, I mean, it was probably THG that they were hunting, and they were looking for the uptrend. So I don't really see like a range trade per se in this area. If anything, you would have been drawing fibs off there, looking for range lows here. Doesn't look like Mountain Man got hit right there, but maybe it did. Yeah, not quite Mountain Man. So no real range trade. So I could see THGs were probably what they were looking for in here, looking for trying to catch this trend. Part of this trend. And of course our THG indicator, that's sort of the point of that. Of course we trade that on like 5-minute chart in this situation, but if you had like a 30-minute trend that's established like this, THG is great for just opening it up and seeing if there's somewhere you can sneak into this thing and just try to capture some of that move. Works really, really well. Cool. So anyway, yeah. So that's just a little lower time frame look, but the weekly is just too early in general. It's coming in, but just a little early. IOTA was the next one, which is I haven't heard about this one in a while. Huge move last time, and it looks like we're just going to go after the lows, to be honest. So they got that little V bottom just out there looming at 5 cents, which is still 60% plus down from where it's sitting. So right away we're making lower lows. Good news is there's nice divergences coming in. So I mean, location looks like it's good. It's below 88.6. It's if you drew fibs off of the lows from last cycle, then it's pretty safe to say that we're in pretty reasonable buying location. Tons of upside. Looks like a good 10, 15, 20xer potentially to get back to the old highs. So yeah, reason number one is location's good. Reason number two is OBV divergences, and we actually did confirm this one before also continuing lower. So that we barely just ticked through there, and it looks like, yeah. So on that move, we confirmed this W, and if people don't know what I mean by confirmed divergence, then I'm talking about when we get a close above the W level. So price was making lower lows. OBV put in a W with price making lower lows, and then it confirmed right here. And so that day was right, or that week was right there on that candle. So there's two reasons there, two confirmed reasons to take this trade, and then we just never got a W, not yet at least. Also, OBV continued making potential divergence now. So and even now a third potential divergence. So if we take out that level, which it's trying to do right now, that puts in a little divergence. If we take out this level, it puts in another divergence. We'll have a bunch of OBV divergences there. So clearly, like, as prices grinding down, money's still flowing in. Um, just no W yet. And this low is just sort of looming there like a magnet. I don't really see any gaps. Well, there might be some gaps in there, but either way, this V bottom magnet is just sitting there. So like the chances of them testing that are pretty good. So regardless of what happens here, maybe we play around more, but ultimately I think the W will come in somewhere down here, and that's ideal for me. Maybe it comes in here, and if it does, then I could see, as long as there's a real W here to work with. So far, there's not. So, geez, I guess it's the delete key that I do that a lot when I mean to hit delete, I hit backspace. I guess I don't know what does that, or maybe it's F12 actually. No W yet. Doesn't it? This gets kind of boring, right? Once you just simplify it down to like, I'm not trying to make big claims about any of these names. I'm just looking for three things. And so it becomes kind of boring in a way. It's just like, well, what can I do? That's all I can really say about it. I'm not going to like hype it up. If there's a W, then I'll buy it, which I probably won't, because I don't even think I can trade this stupid thing because I'm basically kicked out of crypto. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I can't even buy this. I guess. Does anybody ever trade on CoinX? Tell me that. Maybe if somebody's ever traded on CoinX. I was thinking about setting up an account there. I don't think I'm going to keep anything on there. If I do, they'll just like buy altcoins and move it off. I mean, there are swaps on it and stuff, and I don't know. There's probably huge slippage, but I don't know if anybody's ever actually traded on CoinX and not gotten, and it actually works. Because I read reviews where people weren't. I don't know. Reviews are hard in crypto exchanges because the only people that leave a review for a crypto exchange are people that somehow got fucked. Nobody just goes on and leaves a positive review about a exchange. It seems like. I'm sure it's a piece of shit, but anyway, I was kind of thinking about that one because I mean I can't gate MEXC. Those you can't. Qcoin I recently got kicked off of, which remind me, somebody sent me a video about Qcoin that I got to go watch. So to the person that sent that to me, I just remembered I'm going to go watch it after this. But anyway, boring. Yeah, it's like hard to hype crypto in this environment. I'll just be honest. I'm sitting here talking away, trying to talk about crypto, but none of it looks. I mean, there was like that Dodo was good. I mean, there are some things that look okay. It's just hard to get super amped here. But I'll just keep doing the same thing. I'm gonna wait for these W's to come in, and they're not in yet. So on this name, so looks like IOTA's got to wait. This is an older shit coin. In general, I mean, I like it in general. It's just got two reasons and not three. And right now I'm sort of in the environment of waiting for all three. I think I've said before, like once we start seeing weekly W's across the board, not like in a good chunk of altcoins, like once we get into a situation where it's like maybe we're right here, things are starting to take off, then it's like I'm more likely to start just drawing fibs and hitting levels blindly without other confirmation. Or if I've already gotten a double and I'm, like I've already gotten a double on the rally, like draw my fibs and then just buy the pullback of the rally into a reload zone. That's fine too. But for new purchases, I'm just really trying to keep it to things like Unfi. Like, I mean, this one we talked about this looks a lot like Dodo right now. I mean, it didn't quite take the lows out on the dip, but it did almost, or the right side lows. I'm waiting for at least this at the bare minimum. And this is not even like a super wide bottom or anything, but bare minimum, this one had all the reasons: location, OBV divergence, weekly W, and bought the pullback to the breakout. That's like basically the only thing I want to buy right now. If I'm buying something that doesn't look like this, it means I fucked up. And I do fuck up a lot, so. But in general, I should only be buying stuff that looks like this. And talking weekly shit coins. So I want to find these. So like going back to Dodo, not to repeat myself, but just, like I like this one because it looks almost the same as M5. Maybe it pumped harder a little. Maybe the move's already over. I don't know. But, I like that it had the divergence on that low. Also has W's here. And the pullback already happened. Ideally, you'd have already been loading up here at 78.6. But I mean, easily could get filled on this one. So I like this one much better than some of the other ones. But it is what it is. And let's see, I have a couple more. ILV. This is one that I have. Do I have it written up? Yeah. See, this one I was just kind of buying. This is sort of on the request, or not request, on the recommendation of a friend. You see how I'm underwater here. See, again, right after I said I shouldn't be buying shit like this, the first chart I show you is one that I fucked up. Well, I wouldn't say fucked up because I knew what I was doing here, but it's a good example of why I'm trying to not do this. Here I just, and it is a new coin. I bought the pullback here. I didn't even buy 61.8. I bought 78.6 and 88.6 and even had a cheekier fill down here. I think I got filled there. I don't have it marked here, but I'm assuming if I had that line there, I should have had a bid. Either way, I'm probably averaged in here at 88.6, which is fine, but you can see how there was really nothing to base this trade off of. So this is a pretty good example of why you should, especially right now when it's like we're not in a ripping bull, we're not in a bull cycle yet. So you're definitely taking on more risk here, just stepping in. But it is what it is. Now I don't think, maybe there's more on Binance or something. Let's see. I don't even know if that's the same thing. It looks, I guess it looks the same. Well, this has a lot more upside. Wait, 41, is that the same? I don't know if those are the same thing, but did I say ILV? Yeah, Illuvium. Yeah, it's the same, $40. Well, either way, there wasn't anything else to work with on Binance except more upside. Right now, right now, all I have is location here against the lows, assuming these are the lows. And OBV is, we haven't made a new low yet here, so you can't, that's not a divergence. And we're making new lows through there, but OBV was also making new lows, so I don't love that. So I really need to see at least a W in OBV before I can actually think about this too much. And really, I need to see a W in OBV and then a W in price to truly be interested in this. So wherever that W comes in, just have to wait. And so I guess I'm going to probably just suffer a million. As this goes lower, I'll just be like, fuck. Got to follow your plan, bro. And I do have this in my plan. It's just currently, it literally even says in my plan right now, it says like, don't do this. And like, I call this a knife catcher setup. I don't know. I just named it that because that's kind of what you're doing, right? You're just catching knives. Like you're just buying levels, which is fine. It's just, there's better times to do that than right now, I'd argue. Like, sure, it was against the old W. So I was looking at that going like, well, there's a W. There was even a W in OBV, and so it's like, okay, fine, but like in this environment, I don't know. Yeah, that's up to you. You have to figure out for yourself, but this is a little aggressive for me. And now even though I'm already long, I think it's just better to wait for a better setup. Cool. Well, those are most of the requests. I've already been talking an hour and a half, so I basically used up all my time. CoinEx doesn't serve U.S. customers anymore. Fucking God. Okay. Well, apparently CoinEx, I asked if anybody used CoinEx, and the only feedback I got was that U.S. customers can't use it. So thanks, Steven. Not a surprise. U.S. is basically, we've been crushed. We're allowed to trade on Coinbase and Kraken, and I suppose Gemini. I guess Binance US is still open. I don't even know. I have an account, but I've never used it. So yeah, they basically have cornered us into into those, which is funny because I mean, Coinbase has a lot of stuff. I mean, I don't know. It's like I can't imagine. I don't know why all the shit coins on Coinbase are okay to trade, but yet a shit coin on Qcoin is not. It's just, I mean, I get that Coinbase is also playing the game. They're in New York. They, are publicly traded now, and apparently they're going to offer leverage here, 4x leverage on altcoins. I got some email. I don't know the details, but apparently they're creating some sort of leverage platform. So I wonder how that'll actually work out when it happens. I'm sure the fees will be outrageous, and they're also involved in that micro Bitcoin thing, FairX. I wonder if I can look at that really quick. Like, the fees there are silly too, but they actually have a futures contract. I can't remember what it's called. I think it's called FairX is the exchange. I took a few trades on it just playing around, but it really doesn't. It's like micro dollar, like $1 a contract or something, if I remember. But the fees end up being ridiculous if you're trying to scalp. Anyway, I don't need to get into that, but FairX is, you could look that up. But point being, Coinbase already has like it's not branded Coinbase, but they own it, and it's trading on, like, I can access it through my Trade Evade account. Anyway, let me see if I can pick a couple decent ones to wrap this up with, and then if anybody else has any questions, you could throw them in the thing here. But Constantine saying you can use MEXC with a VPN. I mean, you might be able to, but they're gonna stop. Yeah. That's, I mean, Qcoin, you never actually really needed a VPN. Funny enough, you could just keep. But I mean, that was how Binance was for a while, and BitMEX, and ultimately you're still just taking on. That's the problem with crypto for me, is it's just there's so much systemic risk now, because I'm sick of moving. Like, I just moved shit off Qcoin. It's a pain in the ass. Bittrex right before that. I mean, I hadn't been trading on Bittrex for a while, but I still had stuff sitting there, and it was just kind of annoying to have to get kicked off again, because it was nice to have Bittrex. It always was like, I mean, they didn't really offer anything that Qcoin didn't have, but like, I liked Bittrex a lot, especially, when it was good, but I'm just kind of sick of dealing with it. So, yeah, FairX. Yeah, look it up, FairX, Steven. I mean, it's not really something very good to trade on. It just popped up in my mind because they're already active doing futures on Bitcoin, and I don't think Ethereum, just Bitcoin. But I think the Coinbase platform itself is offering 4x leverage on altcoins coming up, or maybe it's just Bitcoin and Ethereum. I don't even remember. But we'll see what happens with that. But actually, going back to kind of like, I mean, a huge part about trading is just finding out, figuring out what works for you and where your edge is. And the reality is I don't have an edge in swing trade and scalping crypto. I mean, I can swing trade on the spot market, but there's no edge for me in scalping crypto because I don't even have a solid platform to use. So for me, it's much easier to just stick to trading the equity indexes on the CME, because I know I'm not going to, if I want to just scalp every day, I don't have any systemic risk there. Like, I definitely have risk, but I don't have, it's not like the CME is going to shut down overnight or kick me off. This is super unlikely, or almost really, really unlikely. It'd have to be a very big deal. And really, truthfully, once you get to a place where you're trading setups and stuff, like, I mean, you could trade anything. It just needs to move enough for you to get enough trades to work for your strategy. So, I mean, I don't really need to take like a systemic risk, like trying to have a VPN to trade on CoinEx swaps. Like, I mean, it's tempting because THG works so well, and it's because I want to be able to use THG in the bull market, because once the bull actually hits, THG is going to be like a money printer. It's going to just print fucking money in a bull market where everything's kind of grinding higher. Like, the THG is going to fucking destroy. So it's going to be hard to sit that out, but really, there's no edge for me scalping in crypto because it's too risky. I end up getting kicked off, or I can't trust holding Tether to at least when I trade the CME, I don't have to hold some shit coin as my underlying. Anyway, but point being, you should be able to trade anything or find, anywhere that you can. So that's just up to you. But of course, we like trading crypto, and I want to keep, buying weekly W's is a different game altogether that I have no intention of stopping, and I'll just use, Coinbase and Kraken, where at least I can at least use actually US dollar. That's kind of cool. I don't use USDT anymore. Um, anyway, let me try to find a couple more names and then I'll call it a day here. I have all these in blue that I just sort of highlighted as like the light blue were the ones that were strong and still kind of are, but like a few weeks ago. Then last week was the pink ones I had sort of highlighted as just ones that were interesting. And then this week I kind of just marked a couple of these. And it's not even that they look amazing. I like this lit is one that I kind of, this one has like the beginnings of the bottom. So I like this. It's just missing a weekly W. Just down against the lows here with not that much downside risk. Like, that low's at 39 cents and price is sitting at 64. So it's not so bad. And then I'm mostly just looking at, location's good. And then I'm just looking at this OBV going like, okay, cool. And like, I really like the, as we were moving low to these lows here, there's 2 OBV divergences in there. And so it's, from there to there made this W, which is actually confirmed now. And then from here to there has a unconfirmed potential that needs to take out that high. And that is a higher high in OBV. So we're still just grinding higher highs and higher lows in OBV. And then prices sort of coming all the way back down to that kilo. And maybe it has to come all the way back down here to 24 cents. But anywhere the weekly W comes in here, I think this one's ready to go. It's just whether that's like this, or whether it ends up being lower, I don't know yet. But I like the looks of this. Tons of upside. It's 64 here, and this is geez. The highs are at 18, so even just $9 or so to the 50% level, even that high right there, just to like target, is a nice trade. That's kind of that idea of like, yeah, we don't need like a new highs bull market to make money. Like, if Bitcoin can get back up against its old highs or even to short reload zones, whatever that is, like 55,000 or something. Bitcoin gets back up there, this thing could easily get to $7 and it's 64 right here. So you can't say there's not room to make money there. This is what you'd call a narrow sideways channel building. And this is what you want to see, right? It's just, hopefully it just keeps going sideways through the rest of this year, I think would be ideal. Basically just keeps doing this. Doesn't do anything, just kind of move sideways into next year. That would be ideal. And then wherever this W comes in, you buy that and then probably have a pretty good chance. It's, bare minimum banging out some doubles. That's only just to move up into that like candle body high right there would get you a double. If assuming the W's coming in right around there. So I like that one. This one looks almost the same, SNX, and this is, I'll just mention it because I was talking about it a lot a little while back. And, I did buy that little kind of wonky W, sort of ugly, but it's a W. So I did buy that thing, but was really looking for this thing to break out of the range. And that would actually set up the bigger, like sort of LJ trendline breakout setup if we actually did something like this where we made this W and then came back and then looking for wherever that area is to buy seems good. Of course you could just hit that W there, you're kind of chasing a little bit, but that would be ideal because if that happens, that's actually making these 2 wider W's. It's a little early to say, but either way you can see the base kind of building. I just did it again. Every time I try to delete something. Anyway, this is also a channel building, sideways channel. Also would like to just see it kind of go sideways. And really that would be ideal in my opinion. Just a few months of bottoming and not V bottoming, just kind of like letting everything sort of slowly bottom. But you can see OBV why I would like this. It's just, it's not, technically it made like the tiniest little divergence on that low, but really it's just based and is making W's. It's not really in divergence per se. Not even from like here to here, we didn't get divergence, so that sucks. But you can see it just building here, and the base. Always a good idea to wait for W's, so that's kind of what I'm doing. Whether you call that a W or not is up to you. I did buy it, but it's just kind of a weird looking W. It's actually more like a head and shoulders bottom, but either way, it's just kind of sitting right at that level. Looks okay. And then, I mean, I think I saw Paul talking about an Ave trade, but that was lower time frame, so he was maybe hunting longs down here against the lows. As a investor, I think it's same story. It's just down against the lows. That's fine for nibbles, and you can see I like the OBV divergence that came in, which is not technically a divergence. That low is still holding there, so we just have, we actually did have a divergence back there, that W, but then now we're just in a big W here, pushing higher, so that's good enough. It's just kind of like, gotta wait for a real bottom here now for a W to come in. That's about all I got. I don't have any like run out and buy them immediately kind of things. I mean, I could go through all these, but I don't want to take too much more of you guys' time. There's nothing that exciting. Like I just marked this one. I don't know. We were talking about it, and it did rip for some reason, and now it's just coming right back down. But OAX, I don't even think I can trade this one either. But it also doesn't. I think there's more history elsewhere on this thing. But either way, nice OBV divergence. Just needs a W now, and for whatever reason, they're taking that whole move back. Definitely not something I'm really that excited about. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'll leave it at that. I mean, I wish I had some. What's happening with LPT here? This one didn't want to come back down. This one I like if it can get back down to 516 or below. This is sort of like a power 3 kind of thing. I did buy that breakout there at 506. I'm long from, so that's cool if it wants to go and give me a double. It didn't want to give me a double here. It only got up to like 930 something. And it's been strong through this recent time, but I like this. This one's classic, same, setups in. You got OBV divergence that came in on that low. Now is confirmed. Now just need to be able to buy the pullback to the W or reload zones or whatever you want to do. Draw your fibs but it doesn't look like he wants to come back down yet, so can't really do anything there. And maybe I will just end with Pure for sure, because we were talking about PYR so much lately, and then funny enough, we were talking about it on Sunday, and then it ripped, and this sort of doesn't have a lot of staying power here in this move, but I got to re-up my fibs here. We were talking about it it was right there when we were talking about it in the show, and I was basically just saying the same spiel. It's like buying the breakout level up here at 360 is like sort of more aggressive and not even in reload zones, or draw your fibs and hunt better location. But either way, the div and the W is now in, and I guess they have some fundamental event going this week, so that's why this thing's pushing up. We'll see how high they can actually take it. But either way, this thing's like one of the nicest charts I've seen in crypto lately. I mean, I got all these stupid fibs drawn all over it, but that's what a real channel looks like, is just, nice sideways channel of W's. I mean, there's the base right there that's holding, and we've held those lows so far, and now we got another wider W here working too, and sure enough, it started to go. So whether or not it gives another opportunity to buy is up in the air, but it probably will. And the divergence was in also, by the way, and also just OBV is just super trending up. So this one I really like. I guess I mean, there's a divergence right there because we actually did tick to a new low here, but this is the actual low, and we've basically just based there and have been pointing higher since. So that's not really a divergence from back here, but it's still very W looking. So I still like Pure a lot. And actually, I think somebody was asking me about this one again today. PYR. So anyway, I'll leave it at that, I guess, for today. And hopefully I talked about something that was worth listening to. And of course, we'll be back on Sunday, like I said, every week, 16 UTC. And then I'll also be here on Tuesdays at basically just right when the New York stock market closes. So give us a like and a subscribe and all that nonsense on YouTube. We'd appreciate it. And you'll get a notification when we do make content. And of course, if you are trading every day, Paul makes a nice daily plan video every day for the London session and that, or 5 days a week at least. And just highlights the trading levels he's seeing for the day. And he'll usually talk about a couple like altcoins that are trending that he's hunting THG setups on, and then usually highlights Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then a little bit of like the whatever he's seeing in the traditional markets like SP 500 or gold or something like that. So watch those if you just want to get some levels from him. And then what else do we got going on? Oh, and also on Tuesdays, Stefan is live scalping for the London session too. So if you actually want to just jump in a live session where some of the traders from our group are hanging out and just taking setups, and Stefan's kind of leading the charge there. And it seems like they usually find some trades during that time. I'm usually asleep, but by the next day, I usually see that they've found themselves something to trade. And then, of course, also on Tuesdays during the New York session, where we open that room up. Our group every day, 5 days a week, we are always in a live room for like a couple hours around the New York Open. That's an everyday thing for the premium members. And then because I'm asleep, I always forget exactly how the London session works, but basically the same. And if you want to join that on Tuesdays, anybody's welcome to pop in and just see what we're up to on every Tuesday. So feel free to do that. And with that said, I did make a new link for our Discord room at the bottom of this YouTube. We've been using like links that expire, and we've gone private just to cut down on spam, but you're welcome to join. You just have to use that link from this show, or hit me or Paul up on Twitter, or Stefan if you know where to find us there. We're working on CryptoTradersArena.com. That'll someday we'll have that up, and that'll kind of offer a place where people can always find us. But right now, Twitter or through this YouTube channel is the best place. And I'll just leave it at that. I guess before I'll mention that we also are starting our training program next week. So we're launching our Capua 1 training program, where we're basically teaching people how to actually execute in the market and get trading, kind of for like a swing trading and lower approach higher time frame approach at first, and then trying to get you ready to move into the scalping part. Our group's mostly focused on like scalping, day trading, and swing trading. I'd say like everybody does these long-term plans too, but most of the talk in our group is around actually just trading setups on lower time frames. And so the goal is to bring everybody up to speed to that. And so this is sort of like the first half of that, and that starts next week, and it's filling up, which is cool. We've not really been advertising it too much, and we're just this is our first run at it. And if you're interested in that, you can find more information on Discord, or just reach out to one of us, Paul or me, directly. And it does start next week. So if you're interested in doing that, you better hurry up a little bit. And there is a cap of 20 people, so we'll cut it at that. And then I can't really say for sure we'll offer it again anytime soon. So it's sort of like we'll do it if it seems to be working and we have a lot of interest and there's demand for it, we'll offer another one down the road. But we're not really making any promises, because at the end of the day, we are mainly focused on trading ourselves, and we do want to do this. And it's also more like I was just telling somebody else this. It's like our main motivation is trying to get more people that are more like professional traders in our group. So we're trying to get you to come on board, and we want to teach you to trade so that you can continue to hang out with us. We're not just trying to make a school where people can take it and then go off on their way, So we're not going to force you to hang out with us, but the goal is to really just bring knowledgeable traders into our group and expand our group with quality traders. That's our goal, because we know that it's more fun for one, but it's also much more productive for everyone when everybody's kind of throwing out trade ideas, but everybody also has the same sort of general approach. Like, it's not like everybody trades the exact same, but if we all, technical analysis is kind of weird. Like, there's different definitions for concepts. You can go watch on YouTube a bunch of different ways people explain things. we're going to bring everybody up to speed with the way we look at the markets and sort of approach this. And then hopefully you'll hang out with us and become one of our gladiators who is just on a daily basis, showing up and refining their craft and sharing their knowledge with the rest of us. And we're all just kind of working together. So that's kind of our main goal. So if that interests you, then definitely think it's kind of more of a training program than like a school, because we're just trying to get you active. We're not going to focus on some of the sort of more global or macro kind of ideas around this. There's not a lot of like fundamental analysis stuff in this course. There's not like a sort of macroeconomics discussions. Those things aren't in this. This is more about like your mindset as a trader and how to trade setups, how to build a plan and work from that plan, how to like revise that plan if it's not working, and how do you one, like go out and attempt to execute a plan, and then after that be able to analyze your progress and then make the appropriate changes to improve your edge. And it's all going to be more focused on that. And so that includes technical analysis for sure. There's going to be a lot of work on that, but a lot of this work is just going to be actually trying to get trading. So that's our biggest focus. So if you want to take the course, I would hope that you have an interest in being a trader. It doesn't mean you can't have another job or when I say professional trader, I don't really mean like somebody that spends 8 hours a day on it. It's just somebody that actually has taken steps to follow the process, as opposed to just, gambling on the weekends or something. So anyhow, I'll leave it at that. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Already almost went 2 hours, man. I'm way too long-winded, but someday I'll try to keep it shorter. Fuck, it's hard. But anyhow, thanks for joining me. If you are listening, if you made it this far, good for you. And as always, feel free to hit me up with any questions you have. Pop in our free Discord channel, and it's pretty quiet in there these days. So if you have any questions, they'll probably get responded to pretty quickly. And that can be anything from looking at names or just if you want to ask me about the school and stuff, feel free to hit me up, or anything else for that matter. So alrighty, I will talk to y'all later. Have a good rest of your days, and happy trading. So bye-bye.